Now, President Biden, everybody, just signed a temporary funding bill to prevent government shutdown from happening. So historic income benefits could increase this month for millions of Americans. Everybody, we have a ton of news to go over in today's fourth stimulus check update, so you want to be sure to stay until the end of this video to never miss out on the very important stimulus check information.
Fox News alert on a make or break day for the Biden agenda, as two of his biggest legislative priorities hang by just a thread on Capitol Hill. That's the social policy package and the infrastructure bill, but now divisions within the president's own party are threatening to blow it all up, which could do serious damage to his presidential legacy. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany. I'm joined by my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno in Nashville, Tennessee, host of Kennedy on Fox Business Kennedy, and in the center virtual seat, Fox News analyst Juan Williams. Just hours before the showdown on Capitol Hill, the president made a surprise appearance at last night's congressional baseball game, getting mixed reactions with cheers coming from the Democrat side and a chorus of boos from the Republican.
There he is. President Biden making an appearance here.
Thank you. Meanwhile, Democrats from opposite ends of the party spelling trouble for his agenda. Far-left progressives are threatening to tank the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill to pressure the moderates, who are then blocking the even bigger $3.5 trillion social spending plan that many say would expand the welfare state. You think? Senator Manchin calling it fiscal insanity and adding this just moments ago.
I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled, okay? I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
But House Speaker Pelosi vowing to get it done and refusing to delay today's vote on the infrastructure bill.
I plan on moving forward in a positive way. Let me just tell you about negotiating. At the end, that's when you really have to weigh in. You cannot tire. You cannot concede. This is the fun part.
What the standoff in this party means for businesses. Jerry Seib is executive Washington editor at the Wall Street Journal. Jerry, always wonderful to see you, and thanks for your time again. So is this just the kind of back and forth that we could ignore and still expect infrastructure and the spending plan to be passed by the end of the year, if not shortly thereafter?
Well, I think more likely than not certain by any means, but, you know, the fact that President Biden's going up to the Hill probably means they're close enough to having an agreement within the party to get this done, because you don't send him up to the Hill to fail, you send him up to close the deal. That's probably what's going on. And, you know, like, I think the reality here is that this is almost too big to fail for Democrats. The optics of collapsing with nothing to show for their first year when they have the control of all of Congress and the White House, that's just too much failure for them to contemplate. So, I mean, what's the old Mark Twain saying? Nothing focuses the mind like the prospect of a hanging. I mean, that's, I think, where the Democrats are today. So I suspect they'll get there. It's been...
Now let's get into the most important stimulus check news first, everybody. So folks, Congress avoided a government shutdown hours before funding would have lapsed. President Biden signed a short-term appropriations bill that will keep the government running through December 3rd. In a statement after he signed the measure, Biden said it meets critical and urgent needs of the nation. He added that there's so much more to do. The Senate and House approved the funding legislation, and the Senate passed it in a 65-35 vote as all 50 Democrats backed it, and 15 Republicans joined them. The so-called continuing resolution will set spending at current levels into December, while lawmakers hash out a full-year funding plan. A government shutdown could have led to shutdowns of could have led to furloughs of federal workers and the suspension of certain services. A funding lapse could have posed particular challenges during U.S. efforts to fight the crisis. So Congress will set to snuff out one possible crisis, but has another looming. Lawmakers still need to raise or suspend the debt ceiling before October 18th to prevent a possible default on U.S. debt that will result in job losses, economic damage, and a drop in the stock market. Democrats who control both chambers of Congress tried to fund the government and suspend the debt ceiling as part of the same bill. Senate Republicans blocked the legislation, even though extending the ceiling does not authorize new spending. Approval will let the Treasury to cover. Mitch McConnell repeatedly said his party would vote for a funding bill without a suspension of the debt ceiling. Food stamp recipients will also see their monthly payments go up in October, thanks to a major update to the program. Even though a special crisis boost has now expired, benefits will jump to 27% above pre-crisis levels, on average the largest increase in its history. The change stems from a revision of the Thrifty Food Plan, which determines the benefit amounts of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP benefits. The update comes as part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture review of the food stamp program required under the 2018 Farm Bill. The then Republican-led Congress ordered the agency to reevaluate the plan by fiscal 2022, and every 5 years thereafter. It was last adjusted in 2006 under the revision, which is permanent beneficiaries will see a $36 hike in average monthly benefits. They received $121 per person before the crisis, including the annual cost of living adjustment, which is based on food price inflation and kicks in every October. However, recipients could actually receive more than that because one of Congress' relief programs remains in effect in most states, even though the 15% boost ended on September 30th. Lawmakers also raised enrollee monthly food payments. So a move from President Biden extended early this year to an additional 25 million people in very low-income households, who originally didn't receive the additional benefits. Taking this into account, the beneficiaries will receive $251 per person on average, and it's more than the 42.3 million people who were enrolled in the program in June, up from nearly 37 million in February 2020. The adequacy of food stamp benefits has long been a question. Advocates for low-income Americans argue that the funds run out before the month is over, but conservative experts point out that the program is designed to supplement families' food budgets. The average cost of a meal in the U.S. is $2.41, 22% higher than the maximum food stamp benefits. In 2020, the maximum benefit did not cover the cost of a modestly priced meal in 96% of U.S. counties. The revision, however, will reduce that figure to an estimated 21% of counties.
Thank you. Chairwoman Waters, Ranking Member McHenry, members of the committee, it's a pleasure to testify today. We're in the midst of a fragile but rapid recovery from induced recession. While our economy continues to expand and recapture a substantial share of the jobs lost during 2020, significant challenges from the Delta variant continue to suppress the speed of recovery and present substantial barriers to a vibrant economy. Still, I remain optimistic about the medium-term trajectory of our economy, and I expect we will return to full employment next year. A rebound like this was never a foregone conclusion. In fact, the American recovery is stronger than those of other wealthy nations. One key factor for our overperformance is the policy choices that Congress has made over the past 18 months.